Thank you and shukran. So we'll start speaking Arabic now. A demonstration. So Africa. What do you usually hear most about Africa?
Ebola.
Charity and aid.
Corruption.
Conflict.
And safari.
Is this really what Africa is all about? Africa is 54 countries. This narrow perception cannot reflect the entire continent's story, larger than the US, China, India, and Europe combined. Africa is booming.
And today, we're going to share with you why Africa is one of the most attractive investment destinations right now, and how US companies can be part of the growing opportunity. Did you know 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa? The continent also boasts the fastest growing middle class, already 400 million people. That's larger than the population of the United States.
And the African entrepreneurial drive is leapfrogging technology, creating every day goods and services. Companies, thousands of companies are emerging from over 200 innovation hubs across Africa. African growth is real. And African leaders will add, challenges still exist. They are improving their infrastructure, governance, but also crafting new business reforms. So, Africa is really there. And the most important piece of it is that the commitment is seen by many companies around the world.
That's right. The Chinese and the Europeans, they saw the potential early on. Now we're seeing players like Brazil and India jockeying for position. What was surprising to us, though, is that we're not seeing the broad spectrum of US companies, particularly mid-sized firms, take the lead in exploring the African opportunity like we've seen in other emerging markets. It's been said, American companies are taking their notebooks to Africa, but not their checkbooks.
That's right, and I would think that there is an information gap. American companies are seeing basically the risk is too high. But the reality is that the transformation is there. And African and American companies has to be there. So what would be the next step for the American companies to do so?
Well, there are advantages to acting now. So early movers gain access to the best opportunities, the best talent, and the best partners. African consumers hold American products and services in high regard, and they're willing to pay for them. And African countries, well, they're competing for all of this investment, and so they're one-upping each other on tax breaks and other types of incentives.
So basically, there are advantages out there for expanding into Africa. The question is, how? So we spoke with over 35 experts, both from the private and the public sector, across a range of industries, and they share their experience with us and how doing business in Africa. From this conversation, we developed 3 guiding principles. Be prepared, be adaptive, and be local.
So the first principle, be prepared. Seems obvious, right? Well, companies will analyze data, they'll go and they'll talk to professionals who are already doing business in Africa. This is important, but the key element here is to get on the ground. Companies can misjudge the risks and potential rewards by not taking the time to gather local intelligence. Varian Medical Systems recommends their approach. They spoke to the African diaspora and African embassies in the US, who then introduced them to organizers of a trade mission to South Africa, as well as local business contacts and potential partners. They recognize that to gain some sort of an understanding before you go, you have to be there.
That's right. So once you are on the ground, the second principle is be adaptive to the environment around you. Many savvy managers find ways to overcome obstacles, turning them to their advantage. And actually, Peppermint Energy did the same, a US company. So what they saw is that 600 million Africans do not have access to power grid, reliable power grid. So they saw that as an opportunity. and they developed a new strategy for it. So basically, what they did is they developed their own network of 35 distributors locally in order to expand at a larger scale.
Which brings us to our third principle, be local. Long-term success often means having some sort of local presence on the ground. This could mean building strong relationships with local partners, acquiring a local company, or hiring and building the capacity of local talent. International Green Structures is a US-based manufacturer of construction panels. They found that a strategy of engaging and incentivizing local partners was far more effective than going it alone. They created a value chain model in Kenya with local farmers, processing facilities, and construction firms. The result? A 100% increase in the company's revenue and a $30 million impact on the local economy.
So by now, everybody in this room can see that Africa is the place to be. That Africa is not one opportunity, but 54 diverse economies with a wide range of rising middle class, but also vibrant private sector.
That's right. Africa is transforming, and US companies, particularly mid-sized firms, need to step up and be partners in the prosperity or risk being left behind. The opportunity in Africa is now.
Thank you.